Shalom and welcome to Branch of Israel. This is Rabbi Roger coming to you from God's beautiful country, Israel. Well, Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread just ended. Jesus rose on first fruits. And starting the day after the first night of Passover begins the big countdown to Pentecost, or Shavuot as we call it in Hebrew. Remember, it is 50 days later, but without a calendar, a reminder on your cell phone, or a nagging spouse to remind you, how did everyone know when it was the day of Pentecost? Glad you asked that question. During the time of Jesus, an Omer was used, which is a measure of grain brought into the temple starting on the second day of Passover as an offering. In accordance with Leviticus 23:15 through 16 and Deuteronomy 16:9 through 12, it is a commandment to count 7 complete weeks from the start of the grain harvest, ending with Pentecost on the 50th day. It was a joyous time for the people and the priest in those days because they were looking forward to the up-and-coming holiday, like a child who starts counting down the days before their birthday knowing something good is coming. Now we know that Jesus was with his disciples for 40 days, and what transpired during that time? Well, day 1 of the Omer, Jesus was seen by Mary Magdalene and some of the other disciples. Day 8 of the Omer, Jesus appeared to Thomas and the disciples. Day 40 of the Omer, Jesus had appeared to the disciples during these 40 days. 10 days after he ascended into heaven on day 50 of the Omer, the Holy Spirit fell on 120 people as tongues of fire in the upper room. Now, before I move on, let us take a quick look at what all these numbers represent. 1 equals the symbol of beginning, God, the source of all, unity of God's beginning. 8 equals new beginnings. 10 is law and order. 40 is a symbol of testing, trial, closing and victory or defeat, such as Israel in the wilderness and Jesus in the desert. And there's also cleansing. Remember the great flood. 120 equals end of all flesh, beginning of life in the Spirit. So if I understand it correctly, we have God fulfilling his Trinity with a new beginning and law and order, bringing into new times of testing and trials that ends all flesh, cleansing us so that we may have a new and wonderful life in his Spirit. Approximately 100 years after Jesus' crucifixion, according to Jewish tradition, one of the great sages, Rabbi Akiva, and 24,000 of his students all died of a terrible plague, or maybe by the Romans during what is known as the Bar Kokhba revolt during the time of the Omer. Either way, the Omer is not celebrated anymore, but observed more as a time of mourning rather than a time of happiness and celebration until the 33rd day of the Omer here in Israel. So pray that Jesus reveal himself as the one true light of the world and Messiah during these 50 days, so that when we get to Pentecost, it will be glorious. If you want to get in touch with us or get on our mailing list, visit branchofisrael.com. That's branchofisrael.com. Again, this is Rabbi Roger coming to you from Israel. Thank you so much for listening. Lehitraot, goodbye, or see you again.